Out of Gaza this morning, health officials say overnight Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 60 Palestinians. And we have new video into us this morning from Gaza City showing the aftermath of Israeli strikes on a school that was sheltering displaced Palestinians. The Palestinian Ministry of Health says those killed include women and children. Strikes hit locations across Gaza overnight, from Khan Yunis in the south to Jabalia and Gaza City in the north. Gaza health officials say Israeli strikes have killed at least 500 people in the past 8 days. Israel's Prime Minister is pushing back against a warning from Canada, France and the U.K. about Israel's expanding military operations in Gaza. A joint statement yesterday from Prime Minister Mark Carney, as well as the leaders of France and the U.K., calls on Israel to end those operations and to immediately allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. It says Canada, France and the U.K. will take action collectively against Israel if it doesn't comply. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted this morning his response on social media. He says the other leaders are asking Israel to end what he calls a defensive war and demanding a Palestinian state. Netanyahu says by doing so, the leaders are offering a, quote, huge prize for the October 7th attack by Hamas and are inviting more atrocities. Janice McGregor now with more on what provoked Netanyahu's response.
Notable, I think, that Canada's latest positions on the war in Gaza came in the form of these joint statements, two of them actually, over the last day or so, alongside specific allies. First, you mentioned the joint statement from the three leaders of the United Kingdom, France, and Canada, strongly opposing the expansion of Israel's military operations in Gaza, calling the level of human suffering in Gaza intolerable, and saying that Israel's move over the weekend to allow only a basic amount of food aid in is wholly inadequate, calling for a return to working with the United Nations to deliver aid in line with humanitarian principles. And these are things that have an international definition, as opposed to the more limited and recent deliveries that we have seen, which were brokered by the U.S. and involved Israel's military. There was this call to cease this military operation and focus more on humanitarian aid. And the three countries saying they would not hesitate to take further actions, including perhaps targeted sanctions, although no specific threat made on that front, while also saying they respect Israel's right to defend itself against terrorism, but that they find this recent escalation disproportionate. The second statement that Canada participated in yesterday was one of foreign ministers from 22 different countries. It also included some European aid organizations. These are all sort of donors of humanitarian assistance, and they were condemning Israel's new model for delivering aid into Gaza too, noting the UN doesn't think it will be efficient or happen at the speed and scale required, and that they don't like to see humanitarian aid politicized, while Palestinian territory must not, they wrote, be reduced or subjective to demographic change. They want to return to the ceasefire, the pursuit of the two-state solution. Anita Anand herself reinforced this with a specific social media post we saw yesterday, reiterating sort of Canada's key points on this. But the Centre for Israel and Jewish Affairs, now that is a group that operates in Canada, it is supportive of Israel. It said that the fact that Hamas applauded the joint statement by the leaders, in its words, spoke volumes about the misguided premise of what these countries were saying. And it said the position Canada was taking with its allies had undermined earlier statements it made about Hamas having no future in the governance of Gaza, and that it gives Hamas incentive to continue to reject a negotiated agreement.
Janice McGregor from Ottawa. Prime Minister Carney met with Israel's President Isaac Herzog on the weekend on the sidelines of Pope Leo's inaugural Mass. The readout from that meeting says Carney reiterated the need for Hamas to release all hostages and lay down all of its weapons.